Okay, so first of all, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for this session today. So, the very first thing that I want to say about forgiveness is actually it's the best gift that you can give to yourself. So, the first thing that I want to get into is what does it actually mean to forgive? Forgiveness is just a shift in perspective. It is not something that you do, it is something that happens as a result of a shift in your perspective. Like when you start seeing the exact same situation from a very different point of view, from a very different lens, that is when forgiveness happens automatically. And the shift in realization or the shift in perspective is a realization that there was nothing to forgive in the first place. It is only when you actually realize this in the core, at the essence, whether it is about somebody else or it's about yourself. So, either ways, when you finally understand that there was nothing to forgive in the very first place, that is when the forgiveness can actually happen. Now, when you're caught in these thought loops, you don't observe what is going on around you. You are not able to appreciate reality that is happening around you. And things that happened at some point in the past, non forgiveness or resentment or holding on, is entirely related to our past. It has nothing to do with our future. You can't get angry on somebody for something that they're about to do. Forgiveness as a phenomena is entirely related to our past. To stop living in the past or in the future and to get rid of all of your thought loops which are taking you away from the now moment. Now, resentment, guilt, shame are also different methods that your ego is currently using to take you away from the now moment. And when you're able to release yourself from this trap, you're able to come back entirely into this now moment. And what that means is very simple things. Eating idli, it's like that you'll be able to like eat it entirely. Or if you eat a mango, you'd be able to actually taste it, enjoy the texture, enjoy the flavor. But it's so interesting the society we live in today. People might spend a lot of money to eat the most expensive food in the most expensive restaurant, but they're not really present when they're doing these things because they're trapped in their thoughts, in their imagination. And if you are caught in this mental web, one beautiful way to liberate yourself from this predicament is by forgiveness. So, the very first thing that you must understand is forgiveness is the realization that there is nothing to forgive in the first place. So, I will talk more about how to forgive yourself and how to forgive other people. So, I just want to share this idea with you. This is from a book called A Course in Miracles, and it's a very beautiful book. And in this, they talk about this idea where all disease is because of a lack of love or of unforgiveness. When we have lack of love for ourselves, like that is self-destruction. Like this is a very important point that I want you to consider. Like if you have never thought of it, let me kind of explain it to you this way. And when you don't love yourself, what you're doing is you're slowly committing suicide in 1,000 different ways. But you see, love is a very powerful phenomenon. It's not just this like wishy-washy out there kind of stuff. Like I have seen videos of like bison mothers charging into a pride of lions to protect its calf. How many of you have seen such a video on the internet, of like a bison mother charging into a pride of lions to protect its calf? You see, that is the power of love. So now the question that we need to ask ourselves is that if we can do that for our kids, why not for ourselves? Now, coming to the consequences of unforgiveness. So, first of all, we must understand that there is different kinds of unforgiveness. Well, there is unforgiveness towards other people and there is unforgiveness towards ourselves. Yeah. So now towards other people, it causes like resentment or anger or hatred and things like that. And towards ourselves also it causes resentment, anger, hatred. But then what it also does is it forms things like guilt, shame, remorse. It's just that in that moment in time, that is the best that you could think of. Like you couldn't think of anything better. Like if you could think of something better, you would have done that. Does this point make sense? Forgiveness is not about doing something, it's just a shift in perspective. Now, what is the point in holding yourself guilty for doing your best? So now, when you understand this point at its root, that when at any given moment, when you are consistently doing the best you can with all the constraints that you have, there is no scope for guilt. Because you see, the whole point, the crux of guilt, especially this self loathing, this self feeling that you have, is happening as a consequence of time. The biggest error, the reason for this guilt is because you are behaving as if the you from say 10 minutes ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago has all the information that you right now has. If that person had all of this thought process, they would have done something else. But they did what they did because that's what they thought was the best. And when you truly see this for yourself, then you can release yourself from guilt. Because you cannot do anything better than your best. And the reason this phenomena happens is because either that person is thinking about you and is about to call you and their thoughts reach you and you think, oh, I want to talk to this person because they have thought about you and they want to talk to you. Or you thought about them, your thoughts reach them and they're like, oh, I want to talk to this person. And so this is what I mean by being energetically in orbit of each other's. And so this is something that happens all the time. And the moment you think that, oh, like this is what, whatever now you're thinking about this person, you are now oscillating with them. You are on the same frequency as that person. Like that's how you make calls, it's like two phones get connected. In this case, two brains get connected.